on First Take, who is your all-time starting center between J. Will, Stephen A., and J.J. Redick? J. Will says Nikola Jokic. Stephen A. Smith says Shaquille O'Neal. I'm waiting for J.J. Redick to give his. But
Kareem or Shaq should be the only two proper responses.
All right. Well, if there's any further evidence as to why the sound must exist,
For real,
Jay
for
Will
real,
said that Nikola Jokic is his starting center on his all-time 5. So there you go.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler, and we are the Sound. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got a lot of stuff going on today. NBA Finals Game 3, LIV Golf and PGA merger, Ja Morant doing Ja Morant things. We got a lot to cover. So many things. Glad to have you here. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start talking. So, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Denver goes up 2-1, defeating Miami in their first home game, 109-94. Nikola Jokic, 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists for another playoff triple-double. Jamal Murray, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists for his first playoff triple-double? Like this season? I actually don't know. That'd be a good thing to look up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Aaron Gordon, 11 points and 10 rebounds to add in the effort, and those were Denver's top 3 performers. On the Miami side, Jimmy Butler with 28 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and Bam Adebayo, the Heat's best player, 22 points and 17 rebounds. Now, we have been saying since Game 1 of this series that Jimmy Butler needs to be better. Jimmy Butler, this was his, I guess, best game of the finals, but his impact is still unapparent.
Yes.
Bam is playing out of his mind right now. The Heat were inefficient and just got outworked. Couldn't get it done. They were just outplayed on the court. They shot 37% from the field and 31% from the three-point line. Now, that's 3% better from Denver from behind the arc, but Denver shot 51% from the field. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo were a combined 18 for 42, which is a whopping 43% from the floor. Jokic and Jamal Murray combined for 24 of 43, making them 56%. The entire Heat starting 5 shot 34% combined. We did not shoot well. We didn't play well the whole game. In the first half, I texted you, it was like, this is the Heat team I've been waiting for. This is who we were the whole playoffs. And then second half comes, that team goes away. No energy on defense. Still not attacking the basket as much. Bam is really the only bright spot. Caleb Martin played good this game, too. This is a good Caleb Martin game. Good Duncan Robinson game. The role players have played well. But I don't want to talk about the Heat right now. What I want to talk about is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic has had 3 30-point, 20 rebound, 10 assist games in the playoffs. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain, 2 of the 5 greatest centers of all time, only have 1 apiece for their entire careers. Nikola Jokic, as we mentioned the other day, is setting a new precedent and a new type of game for centers and really unathletic big players. And Nikola Jokic is also starting the conversation of, if somehow the Heat win, should a losing player get the Finals MVP? And I think right now the answer is unequivocally yes. No one has had more value to their team, and no one has had more apparent on-the-court impact than Jokic has so far this series. And in Game 1, he scored a bunch, or he passed a lot. We said we got to make him score. Game 2, he scores a lot and torches us with only 4 assists, but he was still the main point of the game. Now in Game 3, first quarter, he was a rebounding machine. He had 7 rebounds in the first few minutes of just the first quarter, was all over the boards, making his presence felt inside the paint, where the Heat got beat all night long. The Heat just were getting outworked in the paint. Jokic was a big part of that to start that energy, that momentum. In the second half of the second quarter, first half of the third quarter, he was playmaking. Like, his passes were on point. He was catching and looking and scanning the floor immediately. He wasn't looking to get his own shot. He wasn't looking to force anything. Surveying, seeing how to get other people involved. Killed us with his playmaking. Then in the second half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter pretty much entirely, he just balled. He got the ball, attacked, scored at the rim, made crazy jump shots, passes, everything, rebounds. He just balled on us in the fourth quarter. There has not been a player, I don't think, to impact the game as versatile as he has in these first 3 games. What he's doing right now is something that not a lot of other people have been able to do, or they would be doing it. He needs at least 12 assists in game 4 to average a triple-double in the finals, which is something only one other person in the history of the NBA has done, and it's the greatest to ever do it, LeBron James. Miami's got a lot on the line right here in game 4. If they don't win this game in Miami, they're toast. I mean, even right now, I don't like their chances. And a large part of that is because of what Nikola Jokic is doing for the Nuggets. And this is the first time we're actually able to physically see how valuable he is and what his impact is on the court. So I just want to give all the props in the world right now to Jokic doing what he's doing in these playoffs.
The main point that I want to make is Jamal Murray might very well be one of the greatest Robins that we've ever seen in the playoffs. To have 2 players on the same team in the finals, both have a 30-point triple-double. One, never been done. First time it's ever been done last night. 2, what he's doing right now on any other team in the finals would be finals MVP worthy. On any other team, or like just period, what he's doing is just flat out impressive. It is mesmerizing to think that Jamal Murray can elevate his game. You've been saying it for years that you believe Jamal Murray is an underrated playoff performer, that he elevates his game come the playoffs. It speaks volumes to the depth of talent in the Nuggets organization, where you can have one guy who is an absolute mega superstar in Nikola Jokic, who's putting up numbers that we've never seen unprecedentedly. And then you also have another guy like Jamal Murray who can just come in and drop 30, 10, and 12 and 10 on you and give you another 30-point triple-double. It's amazing to see what the Nuggets have been able to do offensively and on both ends of the court with their Batman and Robin.
He is doing crazy things, and all he needed to do was stay healthy. He's finally done that, and he is back to the bubble Murray where he first emerged as his playoff star. So Denver right now is they're just too good. Again, we had predicted Denver in 6. I'm going to hold true to that and really believe that Miami's winning this game.
Yes.
Because right now their backs are against the wall, which is what they use to thrive. I know I said that last time, but clearly last game wasn't enough for them. So now they're down 2-1, got to take a home game. There's really a lot going against them. So hopefully they can use that and pull out a win to make this series even 2-2. But we'll see. We will be watching and reporting.
The NBA just announced, Adam Silver said that there's serious and significant talks that the All-Star game would be USA versus the world, no longer East versus West.
I'm cool with East and West or doing captains, but I feel like if you do world versus US, that has too much of a constraint on like how you'd qualify. Like, what if there's not, like, what if there's there's more, say, world all-stars than USA? Like, then.
Well, what they would do is they would pick a captain for the US and a captain for the world team, and you guys have to go out and pick your starting, like your players.
I know, but I'm saying, like, would there be like a certain number of like US and world players that you would need to have like to draft from? Like,
that's
I'm saying,
a good point.
Like, what if there's not enough of one kind? Like, I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about. I mean, that would be crazy though. Luka, Jokic, and Giannis versus Steph, KD, and LeBron. That's pretty nutty.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment on the show, Soundbite. And in case you weren't around for the first 2 episodes, Soundbite is a segment where Steve and I take a clip of audio, someone talking in a post-game interview, something on a podcast, just a hot mic take, whatever. They say something interesting that when they listen to, we listen. So today's Soundbite is Rory McIlroy speaking before the FedEx Cup about his thoughts on the LIV Golf and PGA Tour merger. So take a listen to that.
Hey, Adam on the left. Rory, has over the last day with the different meetings and the conversations you've had with players, has your opinion changed at all? Have you sort of started to see where this is all going? And are you excited about this? Are you optimistic about this? Kind of as you project forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the one thing that I think was really misconstrued yesterday was, all the headlines were PGA Tour merges with LIV, and LIV has got nothing to do with this, right? I mean, it's the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and the Public Investment Fund are basically partnering to create a new company. All I've wanted to do, and all I've wanted, in the past year from basically this tournament, is to protect the future of the PGA Tour and protect the aspirational nature of what the PGA Tour stands for. And I hope that this does that, but I think with the headlines being merges with LIV, like that's not if you look at the structure of how it's structured down, this new company sits above everything. Jay's the CEO of that. So technically, anyone that is involved with LIV now would answer to Jay. So, the PGA Tour have control of everything. And the one thing as well is, whether you like it or not, the PIF are going to keep spending money in golf. At least the PGA Tour now controls how that money is spent.
Well, I'm going to X out of the... You sound like you're
It's going to start getting fucking long. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better than it was.
Give me a second. This is some Canada bullshit right here. Canada, you are at fault for everything bad that's going on in my life.
What? What does Canada have to do with it?
All that fucking wildfire smoke. I walk outside. I think there's supposed to be s'mores and a couple hot fire pokers so that I can make some weenies over the fire.
Are we ready?
Yeah, Canada, this is all on you.
So there you have it. Rory McIlroy sharing his thoughts and feelings on the LIV Golf and PGA Tour merger. Now, no, golf isn't a super popular sport with everyone, so if you weren't following any of this or understand, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the events that led up to this merger. So in March of 22, Greg Norman, a former PGA player, launches LIV Golf to rival the PGA Tour. And the big thing with LIV was they were paying people between 8 and 9 digit money. Like just stupid money. In May 22, the first big name to go to LIV was Dustin Johnson. He headlines their first event, and from there, they just keep getting other stars with bigger names. Dustin Johnson at this point was playing the best golf of his life, was top of the world. They soon took Phil Mickelson, who everybody knows and loves and recognizes. They then took everybody's favorite douchebag, Brooks Koepka, paired him up with his arch nemesis, Bryson DeChambeau. So they started taking a whole bunch of names from the PGA. Also in June of 22, the PGA suspends any player playing for LIV from PGA Tour events. So if you leave the tour and go play for LIV, you are not allowed to come back and play PGA events. August 3rd of 2022, Phil Mickelson headlines a lawsuit along with 10 others suing the PGA for their suspensions, claiming that they violated regulations in their contract by not allowing them to play in these tournaments.
Interesting.
5 days later, the PGA responds and says, that's bullshit. You knew what you were doing when you left the tour by violating the regulations that you were claiming we did. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You want to go play for money, go play for money. You're not playing for us. Then in September, Phil and 3 other golfers drop out of the lawsuit. They just say, all right, we're done, and tap out. 2 days later, the PGA sues LIV Golf for interfering with their players and their contracts, essentially with tampering, like when NBA executives get in trouble. They're saying that they were doing things they weren't supposed to by poaching players. Then in May of 23, just recently, Brooks Koepka wins the PGA championship. And I mentioned this to you, Steve. I have never seen a PGA guy after winning a major be so viral and be everywhere on social media. Like Brooks Koepka was blowing up after he won. And then June 6th, the merger happens. LIV and PGA combine forces to make everyone play together again. The PGA made a stance and said, look, like I said, if you want to go play for money, go play for money. We're backing our players who are staying. We're a part of history. We were the original. Like, we're going to protect our guys and back them up. So they completely reversed their morals, their ethics, and the things that they stood for, their ideologies, for the paycheck of, we need these names for tournaments to bring players in. It is disrespectful. It is a backstab and a cowardice move to go against the players who you were supporting for the check.
To get a little deeper into your point about the players there. So before the RBC Canadian Open, there was a players only meeting with Commissioner Jay Monahan. And during that meeting, I've heard from multiple sources that there were specific players calling for Jay Monahan's resignation. The players that are the most concerned about this merger seem to be the players who are struggling to hold on to their tour card. And their fear is that the players from the LIV will come back, dilute the field so much again, weigh it, it'll be so top heavy. It's almost like you're crying about this for all the wrong reasons. I think that this entire situation will ultimately create a players union.
What really sends this home as to like why the power dynamic is so off is that no one was notified. It's a weird thing because the PGA can't say anymore, well, we're in this for you. Like, we're on your side. Because, like, oh, if that's true, why'd you do this without telling?
Right.
Like, we're a team. It's just weird. I mean, it's like if you're married and you go and buy a house or a car and don't consult your spouse.
Right.
Like, I thought we were supposed to be in this together. So it's caused a huge rift now, I think, more than the initial LIV thing. And I think you're right. If there's ever been a precedent to unionize, it's now. And I agree. I'm shocked that there's not already a golfer player union. Player unions are super useful and helpful and across all leagues. I mean, they're the ones that are really in it for the players.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this just shows that you can't trust the league as a whole to do what's right for the player.
I want to hear what Tiger has to say. Even though he's not playing, he's the greatest ambassador to golf the world has ever seen. So it's like, you still want to hear something from him, because if you don't remember, they tried to pull him from the PGA.
Yes, they did, for an absurd amount of money. Yeah.
Stupid money to go over to LIV Golf. And he said, I'm cool.
It was billion with a B, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. It was a B, not an M for million. No. A B, the big boy B.
The big boy B.
The big boy B. And he said no. Right.
Today's soundbite. Up next, we're going to talk about something that came out a couple days ago, and it's something that's been going on for far longer than it should have. More Ja Morant news. Crazy. Ja Morant's team. So this is the whole story. There's a source that told the Breakfast Club that the gun in the most recent Instagram live video that Ja Morant got in trouble for was a toy gun from a relative in the back seat of the car, and it was never a legitimate firearm. That is the poorest excuse I have ever heard in my life. Everyone's talking about, like, it started off with, did Ja Morant do anything inherently illegal? No. Would the toy gun make it even less dangerous yet and less of an issue? Obviously. But say the gun was a real gun, but wasn't loaded. So it was the same threat level as the toy gun, right? It's still the issue of like, yo, man, you have a gun and are just waving it around like it's a prop, like you're proud to have it. So it's not the fact that he did something wrong by a legal standpoint or he did something wrong by, say, a moral or ethical standpoint. It's the fact that, well, actually, that really is what he did wrong. You are an NBA superstar.
Yep.
You are representing a business, and Ja Morant specifically has a lot of young, impact on kids.
Oh, yeah.
As a substitute teacher, when I would go to school, there's a ton of Ja Morant jerseys. He's like their background on their laptops. Everyone talks about him. Like,
Yep.
he is a huge influence with that age group.
Yep.
So toy gun or not, it was the image that it set.
Yep.
And the fact that he came out or his team came out and said it was a toy gun is even more, shows me how even more immature and irresponsible Ja Morant really is. Not as a basketball player, but as a man and as a person.
Everything that you just said was spot on. Because Ja Morant, it's not about the fact if it was real, if it was fake, if it was loaded, if it was whatever. Look at the other side. What if it was real? What if it was loaded? You're holding this object up to your head dancing like this. So regardless of how you're presenting the fake gun, you presented it in a way that to kids, it's okay to roll around and have fake guns and dance to music. And it's more about the way you presented it, Ja. I don't care if it's real. I don't care if it's fake, which, by the way, that was a real gun. That thing was pretty fucking hefty. And that thing was pretty hefty in his hand.
No one believes it was fake.
No. And,
No
and the
one believes
fact that you, like you said, it's just disrespectful to even come up with that excuse. But the fact that they're trying to come up with that excuse tells me that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel to figure out how to fix this.
When you catch someone doing something, like you know something happened that they did wrong, and they still continue to lie, like, why? Like, you're caught. You have to know you're caught because you're lying to make that seem not true. So the responsible, mature adult thing to do is be like, okay, I was wrong, own up to it. He issued an apology and all that stuff. And like you said, it just shows that he's not maybe ready for this level of
That's a great point.
Superstar status. When you're caught, you know you're caught. Own up. And it'll make things a whole lot better and go a whole lot smoother.
I couldn't have said it any better myself.
Our closing subject for today's episode, Lionel Messi choosing to come to America and play in the MLS for the Miami soccer team. This is a crazy announcement, a crazy thing happening for American sports. Steve, your thoughts on the global phenomenon coming to the States?
Well, this to me is already the most famous global sports superstar to ever come to America to play a professional sport. There's very few people who had this superstardom globally prior to coming to America to play a sport. When he won the World Cup in 2020, it shut down the whole country. Not only does Lionel Messi bring the greatest ambassador to soccer the U.S. has ever had with him, but he's also bringing global attraction to the MLS. This isn't like when, this isn't like any other star that's come to the U.S. to play. This is something that is on a international superstardom level. I mean, you just read a list to me not even an hour ago that listed Messi as the number 2 most famous global sports star of 2022.
23.
I'm sorry, of 2023. Lionel Messi coming to the MLS to play soccer here. Lionel Messi's impact of coming to America to play soccer is something that is unprecedented. It is something that we have never seen before. And this is the most famous superstar to ever come to America to play a sport.
If you know a soccer fan, or if you're not a super big soccer fan, I should say, you know 3 people. Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar are really the 3 names that you know because they're the best, right? People are going to go to these games across the country when Miami is playing their local team, not to watch soccer, not to even root for the team. They want to see Messi.
Yes.
When they won the World Cup in Argentina and he went out to dinner one night, the mob of people outside of this restaurant and flooding the streets, like you couldn't move. And the money that he's going to drive in for the MLS and for just American sports in general. And I said this to you earlier when we were taking our notes. I don't see a whole lot of like viral or social media clips of like Messi doing stuff or like, on podcasts, whatever. He's going to have more exposure now than he ever did his entire life. He is going to be everywhere. Like you said, we've never seen in the history of sports a global superstar of his caliber come to this country to play for our league, especially soccer, where it's the most popular sport in the world, except here. Like everywhere but exactly. Here, do they care about soccer? So it's just bananas, the precedent that he set for what's going to happen in America in terms of soccer fans and what that means for the MLS.
Messi having Apple TV subscriptions for the MLS, like he gets a percentage of the subscriptions for the MLS season pass when you buy it. He gets a percent. That would basically be like LeBron James getting a percentage of the NBA season pass that people buy. In his contract, he's going to have guaranteed rights to buy into an MLS franchise when he retires. Have you ever heard of that for another professional contract?
No.
In any sport?
No.
I've never heard that before.
I've never heard of a player being a part owner while also playing. That's craziness. And the Apple TV stuff, that just further speaks to they know that people are going to be watching for him. No one cares about the Miami team. No one cares about the MLS or soccer. It's, I want to watch the greatest ever play soccer because I can now. Like, they know the impact he's bringing. I bet you in terms of all sports teams in the country, I bet you they're top 5 in attendance. For all teams in the country, for all sports, I bet you they're top 5 in attendance.
Bro, I'm not going to be able to sit here and tell you that you're wrong simply because you're bringing in Lionel Messi, bro.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, he obviously there's away games. He's going to be all over playing these games. Everyone's going to want to get a glimpse. Because
I didn't even think about that. The amount of money he's going to bring in for other organizations. That's so crazy.
I mean, because unless you go, when's the last time you even had the opportunity in the country to see him? I don't know if he's ever. The World Cup's always somewhere else but here. It's not
I think he came one time. I think he played in the U.S. one time for some. I don't remember.
Regardless, the opportunity is rare unless it's on TV.
This is the only. I will say this. This is the best opportunity that anybody in America will ever have to watch him play soccer.
And that's so powerful. That's so powerful, bro. America has all the top tier athletes pretty much, except for soccer guys. So now we have the first or second greatest soccer player
in every sport. We have the best of everything.
And that is going to do it for us today. Another great episode, another great time, great conversations. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a part of our channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out our other videos. We're making a lot of reels, a lot of shorts. Catch up on all those. The Sound _YT on Instagram. Give that a follow. We post a lot of content there as well. And we will have more for you coming up in the near future. An intro video is coming. Every day we talk about it. We're like, when are we going to do it? We'll do it this day. We'll do it this day. But we're going to do it. We promise. We will tell you our story. But always remember, if you're in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, just listen to The Sound. We got you covered. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.